Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how much I was able to shave off my pack weight by changing the gear known as the Big Three, which I'm hoping will motivate you to also make this switch. And I'll introduce you to the gear that's sometimes called the next Big Three. Hi, I'm Dan, and this is Chapter 7 of my video tutorial series, Ultralight Backpacking for Lightweights, which is all about helping you to lighten your load and enjoy the wilderness more. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on future episodes. And thanks for watching. So just to review, the Big Three refers to the heaviest gear in your pack, which is also the greatest opportunity for weight savings if you shift them to ultralight gear. I'm talking here about the shelter, the sleep system, and the pack. Some people break out the sleep system into two categories, the bag and quilt and the sleeping pad. So if you see references to the Big Four, that's what they're talking about. It's the same thing. Some people just choose to number them differently. I've made videos about each one of these items, and I'll be putting up links as we go along so that you can check those out directly if you want more specific information about that category and the choices that I personally made. Also, for the benefit of my international viewers, I'll convert these weights to metric and put those numbers on the screen in text. And by the way, how freaking cool is it to have international viewers? I love you guys. Thanks so much for watching. So first, the shelter. My original shelter was the MSR Hubba Hubba, which weighed a total of 4 pounds. Now, my search for an ultralight shelter that worked for me was quite a process over a period of 2 whole years, but ultimately I ended up with the Locust Gear Khufu in DCF, which, if you will recall, is the new name for Cuban fiber. That shelter weighs 23 ounces for both the tarp and the inner tent. However, as explained in the video, I usually go hiking with just the tarp, which is only 11 ounces. Still, in order to compare apples to apples, I will consider the full weight of both pieces, and that yields a weight loss of 41 ounces, or just over 2.5 pounds. Second, I switched from a sleeping bag to a quilt, and explained in that video all of the benefits of making that change. My original bag was the Kelty Quasar, which weighed 3 pounds 11 ounces, and I decided to go instead with the Enlighten Equipment 10-degree Enigma at 26 ounces. That switch shaved 37 ounces, or just under 2.5 pounds. Next came the sleeping pad. The previous pad I used was the Thermarest self-inflating model, and I'm so old I actually owned the original version. That weighed 25 ounces. The new pad is also a Thermarest. It's the X-Lite in the long wide version, which comes in at 16 ounces for a weight savings of 9 ounces. Just as an aside, I took some grief after making that video for only talking about pads made by Thermarest. Didn't mean to be exclusive, that's just all the pads that I personally have tried, and the comments on that video have done a great job of enlightening me, and I hope you check them out regarding some of the other possibilities available. And thanks so much to all the folks who did share the names of other pads that they liked. Although, to be honest, I still believe that the X-Lite is the best compromise between weight and comfort as things currently stand. Finally, the pack. Like a lot of people, my old pack was an Osprey. They seem to be everywhere these days, and that pack was 5 pounds. Through some trial and error, I landed on my favorite pack now, which is the Hyperlight Mountain Gear Windrider, although the specific pack that I have is now being called the Junction Pack, and that's with the mesh front pocket and the solid side pockets. My HMG pack comes in at 34 ounces, so the weight savings there is just under 3 pounds. By the way, the order in which I made those videos was deliberate. I believe that when you are making this transition, you will be best served by taking things in that order. Shelter first, then the sleep system, and most importantly, saving the pack as the last thing that you change. This is partly because ultralight packs are designed to carry lighter loads. So if you switch out the pack first, you're probably not going to be happy with carrying 40 pounds of traditional gear with the lighter suspension of an ultralight pack. Also, UL packs are designed with a smaller volume in mind, since UL gear tends to take less space. So if you change the pack first, the old stuff isn't likely to fit very well. So here's the final tally. Altogether, those 4 changes dropped a total of 133 ounces. That's 8 1/3 pounds. I don't know whether that sounds like a lot to you, but that is almost exactly the weight of a gallon of water. So to put that in perspective, you might try picking up a full container of water and taking it for a long walk around the neighborhood. After an hour or so of walking, you might be pretty glad to set that down and take a rest. That's over 8 pounds that I don't have to carry every step of the way over miles and miles each day when hiking in the wilderness. Now that doesn't mean that I'm able to just go skipping down the trail. I was rather disappointed when I got all the gear together and that didn't happen for me. But the reality is that backpacking is still hard, strenuous work, even with a lighter load. What I have noticed is that I have much more stamina throughout the day, and so I'm able to hike longer distances without overworking. With traditional gear and a 40+ pound pack, my best days were 12 to maybe 15 miles. With UL gear, I routinely hike 15-mile days, and it's usually closer to 17 or 18 miles with an occasional 20-mile day thrown in. Also, I'm able to get up and do it again the next day without being ground down over time. Less wear and tear on the hips, back, and knees is something to appreciate over the long haul. Best of all for me is the feeling of picking up the pack after each little break and not having to strain to put it back on or dread each step down the trail. Instead of hiking head down, straining just to keep moving, I love being able to stay alert, look around and soak in the beauty of the mountains and the forest, having leftover energy to take in the little details of the trail. So that's the big 3. In the next videos, we'll begin looking at a group of gear that's sometimes referred as the next big 3, and these are your cook kit, the clothing system, and hydration, or how you purify and carry water. Switching these out from traditional to ultralight won't save quite as much weight as the big 3, but they are the next important area where you can make significant improvements. So please make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can learn about how to shave even more weight with the next big 3. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.